Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure today to introduce our speaker, Steve Baldas. Steve has titled his talk today, Tennis in South Australia, Bound for Glory, Doomed to Failure. Sounds ominous, doesn't it, really? This is the second time that Steve has spoken to the Rotary Club of Adelaide, so we certainly warmly welcome him back. Steve has two main roles. The first is as the CEO of the World Tennis Challenge, which, as you all know, takes place just behind us here. It's Australia's biggest international tennis event and carries a very prominent profile. But Steve is also the CEO of Tennis SA, which is the governing body for tennis in South Australia. Some of you may be aware that there's a valuable emerging relationship between the World Tennis Challenge, Tennis SA, and the Rotary Club of Adelaide. And this year, the Rotary Club of Adelaide took a table at the very successful World Tennis Challenge Legends Lunch. Now, this offers benefits both for tennis and the Rotary Club of Adelaide, and we're hoping that that relationship may expand further in the next year. Today, Steve's going to give us a candid assessment of the state of tennis in South Australia. Is that so? We're going to get some good juicy bits, are we, Steve? And he'll look at how the past has defined us, the current initiatives designed to produce the next generation of great players, and the dangers that loom on the horizon which actually threaten Australia's very proud tennis history. With that, please welcome back Steve Baldas.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak today, and also thank you very much for your support at the World Tennis Challenge. It's a relationship that we value very greatly and hope to expand. So thank you to Dick Johnson for his support, and also for everyone that attended and hopefully will attend in the future. What a magnificent room and what a magnificent view that we have here today. It's great to see excellent sporting infrastructure like this being built. It's a great thing for the state, and it's a magnificent thing. So it's a wonderful achievement, and we're going to have many fun and interesting football and cricket games ahead. I don't know if anyone's lived next door to a construction site with another house being built. My first day in the job, I was watching the Bradman stand being knocked down, and I thought, what the hell have I got myself into? This is going to be an interesting time. And for 2 years we've been next door and watched this stadium be built, and it's been a challenging and difficult time for us at tennis, but also a very exciting one, as we've been right next door to this stadium being built. So I think it's a wonderful thing, and maybe we'll talk a little bit later about what tennis might have in the future there too. South Australia has a very rich tennis heritage. There's no doubt that our state has punched above its weight for decades in the development of international standard players. I wish to take a few minutes today just to celebrate some of the incredible players this state has produced. Oh. While Tony works that one out, I'll just motor through, and hopefully the slides will appear. First person I want to talk to today is Adrian Quist, three-time Australian men's singles champion and ranked number 3 in the world in 1939. Quist also won the Australian doubles title 10 years in a row. There he is, the very handsome gentleman on the right here. Won the Australian doubles title 10 years in a row, as well as a career doubles slam. The handsome man next to him, Ken McGregor, was an Australian singles winner in 1952, world ranked number 3, as well as partnering Frank Sedgman to 7 consecutive Grand Slam doubles titles, as well as 1 mixed doubles Grand Slam title. Next slide, please, Tony. Or whoever's moving. We've got Mark Woodford on the right. who reached the semi-final of the Australian Open in 1996, along with 12 Grand Slam men's doubles titles, 5 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles, and I'm very fortunate to work closely with Mark on the World Tennis Challenge. The gentleman next to him, Darren Cahill, who reached the semi-finals of the US Open in 1988, career high of 22 in singles and 10 in doubles. Darren was also the coach of both Leighton Hewitt and Andre Agassi. Next slide. On the right, John Fitzgerald. Now, I know Fitzy really well, and I'm sure he'd be highly embarrassed by this photo, so that's exactly the reason why I chose it. Fitzy won 7 Grand Slam doubles titles. Brod Dyke next to him reached the peak singles ranking of 35 in the world and 21 in doubles. Now, that shot of Fitzy was after the 1983 Davis Cup final win, and for me, as a boy growing up loving tennis, that was a true highlight for me, watching Fitzy play in that final. Next slide. Alicia Molik, ranked number 8 in the world in singles and 6th in the world in doubles. A bronze medal at the 2004 Athens Olympics and 2 Grand Slam doubles titles. And who can forget Leighton Hewitt, the youngest male ever to be ranked number 1 in the world at age 20. He won the 2001 US Open, 2002 Wimbledon men's singles title, the 2000 US Open doubles title, and also reached the final of the Australian Open in 2005, losing to Marat Safin. Even more impressive, I think, is his Davis Cup record. He's got the most wins of any Australian player, and his record is 54 wins to only 16 losses in singles, and 14 wins to only 3 losses in doubles. He's played the most ties of any Australian player, and most years played. Next slide. I have no idea how to... Obviously someone like Leighton Hewitt. This is a picture of Memorial Drive, and this is steeped. Memorial Drive is steeped in history and hosted some of the greatest Davis Cup and Federation Cup matches, and it has a long association as an iconic facility worldwide. This is the 1957 Davis Cup tie with Lou Hode, and you can see it's just a magnificent setting. Next slide. This is another picture, of Davis Cup tie Memorial Drive. I included this picture because it's not only impressive, because the people in the stands is amazing, but it also freaks me out to think of all the OHS rules that would have been broken in building this temporary grandstand. So I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Over the years, other major events have been held at Memorial Drive, including 14 Australian Opens, before it was moved to Melbourne permanently. Memorial Drive also hosted the Australian men's hardcourts, or the Adelaide International as it was known, until the event was taken away by Brisbane due to them building their new stadium. While the event was held here, South Australians got to see players such as Djokovic, Murray, Henman, Haas, Hewitt, Courier, Kafelnikov, Ivanisevic, Stitch and Muster. And how can we forget Leighton Hewitt commencing his professional career in Adelaide, becoming one of the youngest winners ever of an ATP tournament at age 16 after defeating Andre Agassi in the semi-finals. Also remember the Rio International exhibition tennis event in the 80s with players such as McEnroe, Lendl, Verlander, Cash, LeConte, all competing in their prime. Presently, Tennis SA delivers the World Tennis Challenge, which is held in January at Memorial Drive, and this year we had over 15,000 people attend. We had over 100 Grand Slam titles gracing our courts this year, including 59-time Grand Slam champion Martina Navratilova, 15-time Grand Slam champion Martina Hingis, 3-time winner Tracy Austin, 8-time winner Mats Verlander, and 2-time winner Yannick Noah. Quite simply, I believe South Australia has been the best state in Australia to provide an opportunity for players to begin to play the sport and translate this grassroots participation into top international players. With only 7% of Australia's population, South Australia continues to outperform other more populated states, and they can only be envious of the record that we've achieved. Now that we've looked back at what's happened in South Australia, I'll look a little broader, not just at South Australia, but Australia, and look what's happening today in Australian tennis. I believe tennis in this country is in the best position it's been since Hewitt, Rafter and Philippoussis were all ranked in the top 20. We currently have 6 players in the top 100 in the world: Leighton Hewitt, Samantha Stoser, Casey Delacroix, Bernard Tomic, Matt Ebden and Marinko Matosevic. This is a great achievement for a country with only 20 million people. So don't let the media fool you. We are in a very good space now with Australian tennis. But I'm not going to talk about any of these players. I'm going to talk about some of our more up-and-coming players that you should keep an eye out for. On the slide now is Ashleigh Barty. She's the best up-and-coming Australian female tennis player, currently ranked 13 in the world in doubles, and the youngest player in the top 20 doubles rankings. Barty first gained international media attention by reaching the doubles final at the 2013 Australian Open, partnered by Casey Delacroix. The pair also reached the finals of both Wimbledon and US Open in 2013, making Barty one of the most successful WTA debutantes in history. She also won the 2011 Wimbledon girls singles title and has one WTA doubles title so far in her career. Ash has an all-court game and is suited to play on all surfaces. Her first serve is flat or has slice. Her biggest weapon is the forehand, from which she can generate angles with pace and spin. Barty's game has been likened to former world number 1 and 15-time Grand Slam tournament winner Martina Hingis for her small size and array of shots. We can only hope she replicates that career. Off court, she likes fishing, reading and playing computer games. Loves her pets, 2 dogs, 2 cats and a bird, which I can't imagine that's easy to take care of when she's on the road 40 or 45 weeks a year. Next slide. On the men's side, we are stocked with great up-and-coming talent. Jordan Thompson, pictured here, one of 3 Aussies that showed great promise this past Australian Open. Thompson was up 2 sets to love in his first round before falling in 5 sets. At just 19, he showed off a good serve and excellent mobility. His late collapse shows he still needs to work on his fitness and stamina, but he should improve on his current ranking of 342 and I believe to make the top 200 this year. Before winning the Australian Open wildcard to get into the Australian Open, he has been travelling on the lower tiers of the ATP circuit, but I think the showing at the Kooyong Classic just before the Australian Open this year, when he almost beat top 10 Richard Gasquet, shows he's got a great future ahead. Next slide. SA's own Luke Savile is best known for winning the boys singles at 2011 Wimbledon and 2012 Australian Open Juniors and is a former world number 1. Now Luke has just competed. We run some Pro Tour events here in South Australia, lower level ATP tours. Luke made the final at the one we ran in Happy Valley and won the one we had in Port Pirie, beating Jordan Thompson in the final. So he's making great progress, maybe a little slower than he hoped, but he's doing very well and I think he's got a great future ahead. Now 2 of the 2 really exciting up-and-comers. Nick Kyrgios. I don't know if you watched the Australian Open, but this match was one of the highest rated, his second round match was one of the highest rated matches of the tournament. Skill along with swagger defined this 18-year-old Australian who recently played Davis Cup for Australia. Kyrgios stands at a career high ranking of 162 after defeating veteran Benjamin Becker in 4 sets to reach the second round at the Australian Open. He lost a memorable match to Benoit Paire in 5 sets after leading 2 sets to love. That was not his first win in a Grand Slam because he won his first round in the French Open last year as well, beating Radak Stepanek. Kyrgios was an excellent junior player, although hampered by a shoulder injury. And while he has a massive forehand, great serve, he can struggle with his error count at times, but his court presence, composure, and ability to play clutch tennis cannot be discounted. We believe Kyrgios can become a fixture of the Australian Davis Cup team for a long time to come and have top 20 potential. And he reminds me of a young Mark Philippoussis. Next slide. Now for SA's own Thanasi Kokkinakis. The other special K with Kyrgios, Kokkinakis first popped up on the international radar when he played Novak Djokovic at the 2013 Hopman Cup as a fill-in and performed admirably. He is just 17 and the youngest player spoken of today, and I believe with the most upside. Thanasi played in our World Tennis Challenge this year, beating top 100 players Ivan Dodig and Jeremy Chardy before losing a close match to Feliciano Lopez. He won a match at this year's Australian Open, beating Igor Sisling, and he fought through cramps in that first round match, just showing some real heart. He played Rafael Nadal in the second round, and Raphael dispatched him easily, but he showed tenacity by fighting hard despite the long odds against him. Off court, he loves basketball, PlayStation and watching TV. He's just a 17-year-old. But I believe he is Australia's best young talent and destined to be in the world top 20. The only concern I have is his back. He's recently suffered 2 stress fractures, but if he can keep it together, he's got a great future. He's the first Australian since John Alexander to represent Australia in Davis Cup at age 17. He's a great kid, excellent mental skills, exceptional physical attributes, and most importantly, comes from a wonderful family with solid, upstanding parents. Now, next slide, please. While things look great from a national perspective, I'm here to tell you about South Australia's standing as a tennis power is at risk. The major reason standing in our way is the need for investment in our home Memorial Drive. For our next generation, the best way for them to be inspired is to allow them the opportunity to watch these champions live and in person. I remember coming down to Memorial Drive to watch John Alexander and a young John Fitzgerald take on the world's best, and that moment inspired me to this day. This magnificent Adelaide Oval Stadium is one of the best things to happen to this city. Imagine how good it would be if Memorial Drive Tennis Stadium was also redeveloped so that when interstate and international guests walk across that footbridge, they see a fully coordinated new sporting precinct. In addition to a new stadium, and I've got this slide up here because it's one of my favourites, we run all of our activities out Memorial Drive. And this picture shows a schools comp that we run on a regular basis, and it has 100 kids on our courts at the one time. And the reason why we get such a good turnout to these coaching clinics is because it is at Memorial Drive. So I can't underestimate, not only from an events perspective, but also from a grassroots perspective, investment in Memorial Drive is important. We have a 20-person team with operations out Memorial Drive across tournaments and competitions, high performance, coaching, grassroots participation, facilities development, operations, marketing and sponsorship. We also run a high performance academy for 30 of the best young South Australian players, along with employing 10 coaches and trainers at Memorial Drive. We deliver a world-class program here that is the benchmark for Australian tennis. We also train the next generation of club coaches that may already teach you, your children or grandchildren. We run 20 such programs each year out of Memorial Drive. Memorial Drive is the cornerstone to make all this happen. Nowhere else in the state is there 40 courts, all within walking distance of each other. Unfortunately, Memorial Drive has lost pace with the development. You can turn the next slide, please. Has lost pace with the development of other tennis centres, both nationally and internationally. This is one of the biggest challenges the state has in terms of tennis, and one that cannot be ignored. Putting aside the fact that our grandstands are in poor condition, and everyone can see that when you walk past them, our current layout and design need to be addressed. Our vision is for a quality stadium that is modern, safe and attractive to people that come through it, whether they are a social player or a high-performance athlete. Tennis SA has adopted a considered approach to the development of a national tennis centre at Memorial Drive. This redevelopment of the continuation of the Adelaide Oval precinct provides the perfect opportunity to develop our tennis centre and transform our facility from an outdated, below-par offering to one of Australia's leading sports tennis precincts. A new Memorial Drive will help drive the following outcomes. Firstly, it will help more South Australians playing tennis more often and for longer. Tennis has close to 150,000 regular or casual players each year. We have 24,000 registered members, which are our most engaged players, and we believe a new Memorial Drive redevelopment will drive our registered member base from 24,000 to over 35,000 in the next 5 years. It would also let us engage with the over 80,000 people that are interested in playing that don't currently. We do that through expanding grassroots programs and a range of the activities at our tennis centre. Secondly, it will help produce Australia's next Grand Slam champion. We are considerably below average nationally as a training facility for our aspiring players. A new tennis centre would provide necessary off-court facilities for recovery, analysis, coaching and training. Our plans include a new covered centre court complex that will provide South Australians only weather-protected court. Let me say that again. We do not have one indoor tennis court in the state at the moment, which would be a huge boost for all of our programs. And thirdly, it will help us attract world-class sporting and entertainment events. We will secure our future with the WTC, which brings in $4 million to the state economy every year. We could win back Davis Cup, Fed Cup matches, and hopefully allow me to bid strongly for ATP and WTA tennis tournaments. We also think that it could become a boutique entertainment venue, not all year round like the entertainment centre, but just something that can add something to this precinct, especially around football season. It would also help us with a new revenue stream which we need, and we invest that back into grassroots participation. Just in summary, the state has a unique opportunity to build on the iconic nature of the Adelaide Oval development and the planned South Bank precinct. We believe a new Centre Court Stadium will attract great events to the state, and right now, apart from the WTC which we created, we do not have anything that our young players can come and watch. And I don't know if any of you have been to these, but don't forget there's a concert venue that Elton John, Led Zeppelin, the Bee Gees, the Stones, Police, AC/DC, INXS, Sting, U2, Bon Jovi, Fleetwood Mac, Aerosmith, Pearl Jam and Kiss, amongst others, have played there. A new Centre Court Stadium will help attract great concerts back to the city. We need a new tennis centre. The benefits accrue to all South Australians, a fitter, healthier population, better sporting and music events, and a chance to complete the Adelaide Oval precinct. Let's hope we get a chance to finish what we started. Thank you very much.
That was a very interesting address. We've got just a few minutes for questions. Do we have anybody that has questions? I think the first hand up was Jeffrey.
Hi. Thanks for the presentation. I'm a tennis player amongst a few others in this room. How much money do you need? Thank you. My questions are, thank you for the presentation, it was really good. How much money do you need, and how many people will it seat, and will the roof open?
I had a bet with myself to think, will the first question involve Bernard Tomic? So we've got past the first question, so that's good. In terms of what we're doing next door, we are working very closely with the Office for Rec and Sport and also the Department of Infrastructure and Major Projects. And we're looking at all options that we have. So not to dodge the question, but we're not ready to release what the costings will be, but it'll be significantly less than what was spent in the Adelaide Oval. We would love to have a fully enclosed stadium with a retractable roof, and that's one of the options that's been put forward. We anticipate it's going to be a similar roofing structure to the Brisbane Pat Rafter Arena. The technology these days with fabric roofs that keep the weather out, so keep the UV rays out, keep the rain out without stopping the light getting in. They're very, very effective. So we're looking to explore that idea.
And capacity?
Capacity, we currently seat about 5,000. We were thinking we'd probably keep the southern stand, rebuild the northern stand. It wouldn't be a huge increase in capacity, but it would just give a much better experience.
Peter, you'll just need to speak up.
Thank you, Tony. I'll try. Two quick questions. Do you have to work on your own? This building or this structure has come about because of the collaborative process. Does tennis have to be on its own? And the second question is, in all the training that we spoke of, encouraging younger tennis players, what does tennis do to try and control, manage, educate parents? Because as a tennis watcher, I find the tennis players are pretty good, the parents are bloody awful. I'm wondering if parents hold them back a bit.
To answer your first question, we would love to work with any group and open to any conversation. But first and foremost, this is our home. This is where we live. This is where we grew up as players, and we need to respect that we'd like to leave this as primarily and first and foremost a tennis stadium, but open to working with other groups. And we are talking to other groups as well. In terms of working with parents, it's a hard one because it's very hard to get in between a daughter or a son and their parents. And it's a lot more complicated than on the outside it might seem. We do a lot of work with parents and a lot of training and talking about sportsmanship and the correct etiquettes and the way that you should interact, but we can't control that. The good news for us is both Luke and Tanasi, which I talked about, have fantastic parents that are wonderful people and are giving them very good guidance. So it's a great thing.
One last question.
Thanks very much. You spoke at the end about the entertainment possibilities, and some of the favourite concerts I ever went to were at Memorial Drive going up, possibly because of the orientation to the river. I went to a presentation last night about the future of the festival centre. What conversation needs to take place in terms of stitching all these precincts together now that we've got a bridge?
I think it's a great question, and one that we are very open to being engaged. And we do have ongoing discussions. I work very closely with Andrew Daniels, and he's been great to deal with, and I talk a lot with Memorial Drive Tennis Club and with Next Generation and so forth in this precinct. I think there's the beauty of the Riverbank precinct to me is it gives a cultural hub or a centre to the city. And I spent 13 years in the US, and I have a lot of friends that visit from the US and interstate, and they say to me, what do we do in Adelaide? And I say, well, you go out to Glenelg, or go wine tasting in McLaren Vale, or go out to the Barossa Valley, or Harndorf, and they say, yeah, but what do we do in the city? And it's hard to find a real spot where they can spend a few days, and this is going to create that. So I think there's room for all. I think they're all wonderful projects, and I've never felt this, that we're in competition with each other. I think we want this to be the best Riverbank precinct we can have. And you look at Melbourne, and Melbourne, you know, we hate comparing ourselves to Melbourne, but you go down there and the arts and sports are next door to each other, and it all works. And I think we've got that same opportunity here in SA.
Thank you, Steve. Look, I'm sure you'd all agree that Steve's address was certainly interesting, especially given he had a couple of challenges to overcome today. Some musical chairs on the top table here, a cameo from Tarzan, was it, part way through? But you've been here before, and we figured the pen that you had must be just about running out on ink. So rather than give you a refill, I thought we would give you another one of our marvellous rotary pens. Put your hands together, please, for Steve Baldas.